This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight, building ablaze. Plumes of black smoke fill the air in North End Halifax after a high-rise under construction catches on fire.
Mall fatality. A boy is dead after a homicide at the Halifax shopping centre.
And soaring eagles. We catch up with a pair of Q-League stars in Cape Breton.
It may have been a bit cool today, but that sunshine was lovely. Eastern areas losing that sun tomorrow. We'll talk about some rain for parts of the province. Your full forecast is just ahead.
Good evening. The early morning quiet was shattered today by fire and explosions at a high-rise apartment building under construction in North End, Halifax.
It sent smoke billowing into the sky and people scrambling onto the streets. Blair Rhodes reports.
Oh my God.
Saw this incredible building here on fire. Big black smoke. Lots of sparks and stuff.
James Shaw was getting ready for work when the exploding propane tanks shook his house.
I guess it was a little unsettling, but it's not unfamiliar in this neighborhood for those blasts to happen with new developments on every corner.
Oh! But this wasn't blasting.
We got a call for a structure fire this morning. When the crews arrived, they found heavy fire and smoke on the top of the 10th floor of a building under construction. It appeared to be some sort of hydrocarbon, like roofing material burning. There were several explosions from propane cylinders that had cooked off through the fire.
A crane operator at a nearby building spotted the fire and called 911. Workers in a construction crew had to evacuate their work site.
Perfect. Downstairs, elevator shut down, down the stairs, and out the door. Everybody on each floor has a horn to check to see if anybody was left in the building. Sound the horn and walk down.
Klein's crew faced a challenge. The building didn't have water pipes or working elevators, forcing firefighters to clamber up 10 stories, lugging their gear with them. But Klein says they took it all in stride.
It took us a couple minutes to get there, and we had the water supply established to that aerial truck within 5 minutes, and we had water on the fire probably 3 minutes after that. So probably 10 minutes, we had water on the fire.
Klein says the fire department has the tools and training to tackle high-rise fires, and with all the new construction around town, they'll probably be putting those skills to the test a lot more than they used to.
It looked impressive to the general public, but I think we had an idea that once we got water on it, it was going to go out pretty quickly.
The province's Department of Labour is now investigating. Blair Rhodes, CBC News, Halifax.
A 16-year-old boy is dead after a homicide at the Halifax shopping centre yesterday afternoon. Police say they were called at around 5 o'clock to the parking lot at the mall where they found the injured boy. They say the male youth was taken to hospital where he later died. He has since been identified as Ahmad Mar al-Marach. Police have yet to say how he died. 2 suspects were arrested on a Halifax transit bus later that evening. They were released today without charges. Police say they do not believe this was a random incident. The investigation is ongoing. Halifax Regional Council has approved a $1 billion operating budget for the next year, and that includes a 6.3% property tax increase for residents. That increase will mean roughly $200 more a year on the average property tax bill. City staff had initially requested an 8.9% increase to cover the budget's shortfall, but the province recently told Halifax it doesn't have to collect taxes for housing and corrections, dropping it down to 6.3%. Also in the budget, Halifax RCMP will get 6 new officers, 4 in general duty and 2 focused on high-risk domestic violence cases. There's also new money to build a civilian-led crisis response model.
Councillors also debated how the Housing Accelerator Fund could rapidly change the face of the city in the next few years. A group called Coalition for a Better HRM Housing Plan warns allowing rushed construction of housing above all else is short-sighted. Frank Palermo says best to concentrate on improving water, sewer systems, and public transit in conjunction with a housing plan.
All of that means that we need a plan. We don't need this kind of ad hoc crisis management, which is what this is. And I think, quite honestly, politically motivated kind of idea that, oh, we're going to do something right away for for this housing crisis. Housing isn't a crisis. Housing is a continuing need. If we want to grow as a city, as a region, as a province, we have to find a way to grow around the right infrastructure, and that's where government should be investing.
I'll talk to Frank Palermo about his concerns with the Accelerator Fund and its impact on local housing. That's our Newsmaker interview just after 6:30.
A development boom in the Windsor area has pushed up plans for an expansion of the municipal water system. West Hants has approved about 1,000 new housing units in the last 4 years. To keep up, the province and municipality announced today that they will split the $6.1 million cost of a new water storage tank that will more than double the system's capacity. Melissa Sheehy-Richard is the PC MLA for the area. She says the ability for future development in the municipality was being limited by the existing water system.
It's going to be a significant impact for our community to have that added water storage ability, especially during that drought last season. It will have a surplus in the water system so that at peak demands, like I mentioned, we will have more water resource available.
West Hants Regional Municipality Mayor Abraham Zebian says he expects the expanded water service capacity will mean new housing projects will continue to be able to be approved.
The president of Nova Scotia Power is defending the utility's decision to ask ratepayers to pay a $31 million upgrade to the electrical system that feeds the Michelin tire plant in Waterville. Peter Gregg told a legislature committee today the situation is similar to people who now pay their electricity bills to fund other improvements to the grid. He says the upgrade was needed to ensure a steady flow of power to the plant. The French-based tire maker has complained to the company about voltage disturbances it says has caused sensitive equipment to shut down. That has led to a loss of tire production. The province's regulator is currently reviewing the application by NSP to have all power customers foot the bill for the improvements.
After her appearance at that same legislature committee, Nova Scotia's Deputy Minister of Natural Resources and Renewables told reporter the provincial government needs to do a better job explaining the need for wind turbines. Karen Gaishen told the committee the province will meet its emission reduction targets, but getting there will require a lot of work, including convincing communities to accept wind farms so that the province can end its reliance on coal-fired power plants.
It could be town hall meetings, she says, open houses. It could just be, smaller discussions with key stakeholders and groups, whatever it will take. At this point, we're still trying to develop what would that look like.
Last week, the Premier hosted a town hall meeting to hear concerns about a proposed wind farm in the Pictou region. There have also been large meetings in other areas of the province. Gaishen says more wind power is just one of many things needed to get the province off coal.
Nova Scotia Health is warning that a post that's circulating on social media includes misinformation. It's an anonymous post that says there's been an outbreak of flesh-eating disease at a regional hospital, but that's not the case. The CBC's Brett Ruskin explains.
Health officials saying that there's no outbreak in the Yarmouth Regional Hospital, as this post says. It is an anonymous post posted online on a social media group. It says it's written by a nurse at the Yarmouth Hospital saying that there is an outbreak of flesh-eating disease there. Now, these flesh-eating diseases can be contracted and can arise from a variety of different sources, whether it be cuts and scrapes, surgery wounds, even insect bites, even in rare cases, raw shellfish like oysters, and in some cases from strep A infections. And that might be where there is a kernel of truth here, because Nova Scotia Health does confirm that there is at least one strep A case, that invasive group A strep A infection that has been going around. We've been reporting on it from coast to coast. And there is one case in that region of the province that has an associated flesh-eating disease aspect to it. Doctors are working on that case, but there's no kind of an outbreak. There is no kind of cause for concern, because health officials are saying that as there is their practice for any illnesses or diseases like this, if someone has come into contact with someone who has strep A or any of these other communicable diseases or illnesses, that they are contacted immediately, those specific contacts, and if there is any kind of farther or further additional outbreak or possible exposure incident, that is when a public notification goes out. So overall, Nova Scotia Health saying don't believe everything you read that's anonymously posted online. This is just one example.
That's the CBC's Brett Ruskin reporting for us tonight. To the Weather Centre now, Jay Scotland in for Ryan Snoddon tonight.
And it was a little chilly, but boy, the sunshine was awfully nice today.
Yeah, that sun was great. We've seen a few clouds starting to develop over the last few hours, but man, oh man, it's amazing how that sun can make a temperature of around 8 degrees for a daytime high, a little cooler in some spots around the HRM, kind of between 8 and 12 degrees across the province today, looking at the daytime highs. But if you're in the sun, or at least walking on the sunny side of the street, didn't feel all that bad at all. As we take a look at the satellite and the radar picture, we can see some cloud cover starting to build in from our south and east, and we will watch for that to continue to thicken up. Those clouds will continue to build later this evening and overnight. So as the clouds increase, this area of low pressure that is offshore also could bring a chance of showers arriving through the overnight hours into the early morning hours tomorrow. I think you're going to avoid it for the South Shore region for the most part, but as you can see for Halifax and east, Halifax right on the cusp of seeing those showers in the morning. So it's a chance of showers, mostly cloudy sky in the morning, but you're looking at that steadier rain for eastern areas and actually up towards Port Hawkesbury, east through Cape Breton. This is where 10 to locally amounts over 20 millimeters will be possible. So that rain could be falling quite heavily at times through the day tomorrow. And then as we look to the evening hours, that's where we start to see this cold front building in from the west. Showers for inland areas, slight chance at elevation. We could be looking at some mixed precipitation Wednesday night. So we'll have to keep our eye on really two systems at play. As for tonight, clouds will be increasing, and we will watch for the morning shower chance clearing to a mix of sun and cloud or partly cloudy for the afternoon, and then those clouds increase, and we will be looking at some showers arriving again late in the day. So that is how our day is looking to play out tomorrow, really bookended by showers, although steadier and much heavier for eastern areas. Tom and Amy?
All right, we'll watch for that. Thanks so much, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
A Bedford canoe sprint racer who is trying to get to the Olympics says a new federal pay deal for athletes will ease some financial pressures. Ottawa announced in the budget last week it will increase funding for the Athlete Assistance Program that helps support nearly 2,000 athletes in more than 90 sports. Paddler Brett Himmelman has been part of the program for the past 5 years. His stipend of $1,765 a month has not increased in that time.
I myself personally have worked up to 4 jobs in the summer before just to make enough to do a sport and to chase after the dream. Hi, I'm Brett Himmelman. I'm a Team Canada canoe sprint athlete from Bedford, Nova Scotia. I've been on the national team for 5 years, and this is the first increase we've had to our athlete assistance program budgets since I've been a member of the team. And everything has gone up substantially in prices, whether that's gas, food, groceries. I believe it's an increase of roughly around $300 a month, approximately between 18 to 20% raise. It is challenging, and especially in a sport like canoe sprint where we live in Canada and we have to travel a lot for our sport. We can't train at our sport here in the winter time with everything frozen, so we have to spend large periods of time away from home, which has its own challenges, not just mentally being away from your family and friends, but also financially. This past winter I was training in a combination of Florida and California. California is where the national team and the first set of Olympic trials were this year, and especially being an athlete from the East Coast, it's very expensive not to get yourself over there, but between the American dollar and other financial challenges faced.
Hi, my name is Christian Hall and I'm the head coach here at Mascot Aquatic Club in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I'm working with among other athletes, Brett Himmelman, who's trying to make the Olympic Games in 2024. You know, we have athletes who put their lives on hold a little bit to chase their Olympic and national team dreams, so any little bit helps. They're athletes who need to train 3 or 4 times a day, up to 12, 13 times a week, and having to work another job or, you know, find another income outside of the AAP program is a significant challenge, so any increase really makes that easier for them to only focus on their training.
It would be all worth it if you get to do that ultimate dream of racing for Canada on the biggest stage.
The Cape Breton Screaming Eagles will head to Baie-Comeau tomorrow to begin round 3 of the Q-League playoffs. Their success is being led by Sambro's Jacob Newcomb and 20-year-old goaltender Nicholas Ruccia. The CBC's Kyle Moore has a closer look at the star players.
He's the man between the pipes and the backbone for Cape Breton's playoff success. Nicholas Ruccia has been putting up some impressive numbers, recently setting a new Eagles record for the longest amount of time without allowing a goal in the playoffs at 167 minutes.
Well, the game just feels like almost in slow motion, and I feel super confident in that. I feel like I've been seeing every situation. I haven't been surprised by anything.
As the Eagles prepare for their semifinal series against Baie-Comeau, Ruccia credits his teammates for his success.
We're all clicking since the past month and a half of the season. Guys blocking shots really helps me out. We're not giving up 35 shots a game, and even if we do give up more shots, they're not dangerous shots because our team's making a good job of limiting the dangerous scoring chances. It makes my job a lot easier.
Newcomb cutting it back and score!
The story of the season might be the return of Jacob Newcomb. The Sambro native was diagnosed with cancer and was forced to miss half of the regular season. He set a new Eagles franchise record for most points in a playoff game with 6, including 2 goals and 4 assists in Game 4 against Chicoutimi.
Bringing the puck to the net, had lots of confidence, just holding on to the puck a bit more and, found my line mates a couple times. So, that's, just playing the game the right way. That's what I try to do every night. So that's what brought me success here lately.
Newcomb says having the support of the community and teammates has really helped his game.
I had their support, throughout my whole journey. So that was really, great to see. It really helped me, and they've just been really supportive here at the rink too.
Head coach Louis Robitaille says Newcomb has made the team better and someone his teammates look up to.
Now he's an inspiration for his teammates, and I think everybody rallied to that. And sometimes you just need that little cause, right, to glue and gel even more. And Jake has been our leader right now on and off the ice.
The Eagles open the 3rd round of the playoffs Thursday night in Baie-Comeau. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
Okay, well, this next story might make you squirm. It's about 2 young Maritimers who've started a business, let's say, from the ground up.
Yes, and their product has their clients hooked. Take a look.
I usually just see them way back over here, behind here and all next to here. My first day I broke one and then I was like, I not break one again. And I never broke one again. They feel very wet and smushy.
It was honestly natural. Right from the age of 2 years old, he was in dirt hills, covered in dirt, playing with every bug under the sun. On his 5th birthday, I looked at him one day and I said, hey Callum, would you like to make some money and help provide for fishermen? And he said yes. So from there I started taking them out in the evenings and we gathered lots of worms, and it was a huge hit the first year, and here we are again the 2nd year doing the same thing. Kind of taught them a responsibility and the meaning of a dollar.
Oh, a full bucket of worms. There's 55 in here. This is the most I ever got. I just like that they're smushy in there and they go underground and do all fun stuff that I cannot do. Plus my TV's not working.
Since we'd need to stamp the cup and then put black earth inside the cup. I wanted to go fishing and I decided to pick some worms one night, and I picked too many, so I decided to sell them, and that's how I got selling worms. You'd count 15 worms into the bowl. I go out at nighttime and they'll be all over the ground. It's better to pick them when the ground is dewy or wet. You have to grab it really fast because they shoot into the ground really fast.
That's how it all gets started, and we think it's a great thing. Lots of people come back every week or every couple weeks and buy more and more worms from him. He's got a great clientele built up.
Don't want to tell too many people unless he wants me to, because I might run out of worms. I used to pick my own in the yard. It's hard on the back, so we'll let the young guy get them for us.
It's good to have some newspaper in with them and some compost and black earth.
would they get their worms if they didn't get them from you?
They will have to pick them themselves. It might be hard for them, but it's not hard for me.
Those guys are great business people.
All things slimy, huh?
Yeah.
And the TV's broken, so what else are you going to do, right?
Pick worms, of course. That was delightful. All right, first quick break on the way. Stay with us.
Yes, we have a lot more to come on CBC Nova Scotia News. A former tabloid publisher testified for a second day at Donald Trump's hush money trial in New York.
Ottawa police are investigating possible hate speech at a pro-Palestinian rally that was held on the weekend.
And we've got Jay in for Ryan. He's coming back right after the break. We'll see you then. All right, Jay was talking about some showers, but you know, it is April to be expected,
You
right?
can expect some damp weather in April, that is for sure, in Nova Scotia, Jay.
Those May flowers better be nice. No, we like the rain. We like a mix of sunny and rainy days to keep things damp, to keep things green. This is all a good thing. I think you'll be seeing a little bit more than maybe you'd like to see for parts of Cape Breton. Not too heavy. We're not talking about rainfall warning criteria, but as we head up into Cape Breton tomorrow, that rain at times could be falling quite heavily. Temperature-wise today, it was a little on the cool side. Look at that, Lunenburg, just high of 6 degrees. Saw a few spots up 13 near 14 degrees. Most areas between 8 and 12 degrees. I do expect temperatures for inland areas where the rain's not falling steadily to improve a little bit tomorrow. In fact, Halifax, 13, 14 degrees possible in the afternoon if the showers, as I'm hoping, will stay east of the city, right on the edge of seeing those showers. But the steadier rain, I think, will be Sheet Harbour and areas further to the east tomorrow. We're already seeing the cloud cover as that system approaches from the south, starting to build in over the last few hours for coastal areas, and those clouds will continue to increase this evening and overnight. As we look to the early morning hours tomorrow, you can see this forecast. This is a different forecast model than I showed you earlier. Also showing Halifax just on the edge of seeing those showers in the early morning hours tomorrow. Sheet Harbour, as we look up into Cape Breton, this is where you're looking at the steadier precipitation that will be falling tomorrow. Otherwise, I expect a mix of sun and cloud, not as overcast as what we're seeing here for much of mainland Nova Scotia in the afternoon, certainly for the South Shore region. But that rain and that cloud cover will persist for eastern areas. Late in the day, we can start to see a cold front that is moving in. So the leading edge of that cool air will bring more showers Wednesday night. You can see some mixed precipitation, certainly as we get into the Highlands, for example, some wet snow into early Thursday possible. It will be quite windy on Thursday, but I do expect through the morning hours that sky to clear and that precipitation to taper off. So we will be looking at cooler temperatures, blustery for Thursday, but a return to sunnier skies. So let's take a look at your forecast and what you can expect across the province for tonight. We will watch for the cloud cover to increase overnight, staying fairly clear for the South Shore region. Cloudier conditions with a chance of showers further east. I have the showers in before morning for Sheet Harbour. Likely going to hold off until the pre-dawn hours for Halifax. And as we look up towards Port Hawkesbury and Sydney into Cape Breton, this is where you'll likely just see the clouds increasing overnight. Early to mid-morning, you get into the chance of showers, and then the steadier precipitation morning, afternoon. Could even be looking at some steadier showers into your Wednesday evening as well. And this is where your temperatures will be a little bit cooler, where you're seeing the clouds, the brisk wind, and the precipitation, those rain showers and periods of a more moderate rain. Temperatures will be cooler as a result. Just 5 in Sydney, 6 in Port Hawkesbury, 8 in Sheet Harbour. Where you see that sky at least partially clear for the afternoon, partly cloudy, you'll see a bit more in terms of daytime heating, and those temperatures should be a bit more mild as a result, anywhere from 13 to 14 degrees for inland areas. Halifax, cooler by the water than what you'll see inland. So a bit of a temperature spread there from the coast to inland areas, but I think a big improvement, at least temperature-wise, over what we saw today, which was a high of around just 8, near 9 degrees this afternoon across the HRM. So a bit milder tomorrow. We have that chance of showers. Mainland Nova Scotia, certainly Halifax and east in the morning. It's an all-day rain event for eastern areas. I think you'll see more in the way of sun breaks and even sunnier stretches for the South Shore region and areas further to the west. Much cooler in the wake of that cold front, though, and there is a chance for early morning showers and mixed precipitation inland at elevation, but I do expect that sky to be clearing for Thursday afternoon for most areas. We'll see a mix of sun and cloud, leaning more towards the sunny side of that mix on Friday. High of around 9 degrees, which is a near seasonal daytime high, and temperatures improve big time for the weekend. That rain you're seeing for Sunday, I think very late in the day, with showers lingering into Monday morning. So this is not a bad weekend forecast. Fairly sunny Saturday and for most of Sunday as well, and temperatures back above that seasonal average. Tom and Amy?
I like it. Looks
Weekend
good to
looks
us.
good, doesn't it?
Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks so
No
much, Jay.
complaints.
And up next, I'll talk with a member of a group calling for the brakes to be put on the Housing Accelerator Fund in Halifax for fear of development run amok. That's our Newsmaker interview.
Please stay with us. You're watching CBC Nova Scotia News.
A group that is concerned about some of the potential impacts of the Housing Accelerator Fund is calling on HRM Council to drastically rethink the proposal to overhaul the city's centre plan, adopted just over 2 years ago. Frank Palermo is Professor Emeritus at Dalhousie University's School of Planning and a member of the Coalition for a Better HRM Housing Plan. Sir, you write that Halifax's Housing Accelerator Fund plan is ill-conceived. I know you have many concerns, but what concerns you the most?
Well, it doesn't do any of the things that it sets out to do, like provide more housing, make it more affordable, do anything about climate change. And while it's not doing that, it's really very disruptive, and it's going to cause speculation in the market. It's a windfall for some people, but for other people, it's really not doing anything at all. And at the end of the day, it's really against the whole kind of spirit of what planning is about. That is not just providing more of one thing, like housing, but actually building community, building homes for people, and places that really make sense in the city.
You said, the Accelerator Fund purports to build more housing and to build it more quickly. Why do you think otherwise?
Well, do you really think that the reason that more housing isn't being built right now is because we don't have simple rules and it needs to be expedited this way by planning, by just making it as of right? The real reason that more housing isn't being built is because interest rates are really so high right now. The reason that huge projects aren't being built right now that could provide thousands of units, like the Bloomfield site or the St. Pat's Alexandra school site or the St. Pat's site or, all sorts of areas, thousands of units could in fact be built. They're not being built because there's something standing in the way. They're not being built because the moment isn't right for the market.
You also are writing about your concern that the Accelerator Fund could actually affect land speculation. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is, the proposal is as of right. That is, you just follow some rules, which is the dumbest tool in the planning toolbox. Just follow some rules and you could build basically 4 units on a lot, kind of almost anywhere in the kind of inner city area and even in some suburban areas. That's the idea in terms of what can happen. And because you can do it anywhere over very large areas, nobody knows. I mean, obviously it's not all going to be rebuilt kind of that way, but wherever it happens, there's kind of speculation that's already started to happen. People are going around knocking on people's doors and offering them money for their properties, and that kind of destabilizes a community, a neighborhood. So people who have families might not want to live in a place that's going to be redeveloped that way. So the money thing is kind of actually pushing people out. It's also taking out, to be honest about it, it's also taking out some affordable housing that actually exists, certainly in some of those inner city areas, that already has, 4 units in an existing house somewhere, but this is an opportunity for a developer, a small developer usually, to just take those out and replace them with something new and probably charge higher rents for them. So the affordability thing certainly isn't covered, but it destabilizes the whole community because we don't know where these new buildings that are going to be built as of right. That means there's very little control in terms of the quality of the building, the quality of design, the way, for instance, the building connects with the street or anything like that.
Okay.
So that's what's ill-conceived about.
And you say about connect with the street. What about connect with existing infrastructure? I mean, if we are looking in this city of increasing housing units, as we know we need to do, how ready is the infrastructure for that?
Absolutely not ready at all. That's what we should be investing in right now. We shouldn't be investing and pushing this idea that, we have a housing crisis and the answer to it is just to allow much more building to happen, anywhere that, someone wants to put it. What we need is the infrastructure, basic infrastructure like water, sewer systems, and what we need is a really great public transit system that would actually make that work. And all of that means that we need a plan. We don't need this kind of ad hoc crisis management, which is what this is. And I think, quite honestly, politically motivated kind of idea that, oh, we're going to do something right away for this housing crisis. Housing isn't a crisis. Housing is a continuing need. If we want to grow as a city, as a region, as a province, we have to find a way to grow around the right infrastructure, and that's where government should be investing. Government should be investing in building the right infrastructure right now. And I think, you know, both the federal government and the provincial government should butt out a little bit of, you know, what it is that happens in terms of planning at the local level. You know, it's not right that we had a plan that was actually approved just a couple of years ago for the center area. And what this does, what this one edict, you know, one strategy, you know, that someone has at the federal level, it actually dismisses, you know, like years of work that was put into that plan that actually suggested where density was going to go. And it says, let it happen everywhere. What does that do for the whole idea of planning, of thinking ahead, of people actually having a say in terms of the kind of communities that we build in the places that we want to live? It just makes no sense to me.
All right, we will have to leave it there. Mr. Palermo, thanks for your thoughts.
Okay, thank you.
Coming up, thousands of delegates from around the world are in Ottawa. They're working on an historic UN treaty to curb global plastic waste. Welcome back. A former tabloid publisher says he helped Donald Trump kill stories that could damage his reputation.
David Pecker testified for a second day at the former U.S. president's hush money trial in New York. Trump spoke outside the courtroom, insisting the charges are politically motivated.
We have the worst president in the history of our country, and he's the one that has us in all these different lawsuits.
Prosecutors argue Pecker participated in a catch-and-kill scheme with Trump to cover up sex scandals that could hurt his 2016 presidential campaign. The former National Enquirer publisher said he would alert Trump's team about damaging stories and suppress them. He said he also agreed to run damaging stories on Trump's rivals.
Trump is accused of falsifying business records to conceal sex scandals. He has pleaded not guilty to 34 charges. The testimony comes after prosecutors accused the former U.S. president of violating a gag order several times. The judge has reserved his decision on that matter for now. The trial resumes Thursday.
Ottawa police are investigating possible hate speech at a pro-Palestinian rally that was held on the weekend. Complaints were filed when video of the event revealed some demonstrators praising the Hamas attack on October the 7th. The CBC's Kate McKenna has the details.
At a protest calling for a ceasefire, words that caused shock and widespread condemnation.
Long live October 7th! Long live the resistance!
Cheers of support for statements glorifying the October 7th attacks, when, according to Israel, Hamas killed nearly 1,200 people in southern Israel and about 250 people were taken hostage.
I was shocked, and it takes a lot to shock me at this point because, unfortunately, I've been shocked so many times about incidents taking place here in Canada since October 7th that, I didn't even know that there was still shock left in me.
All party leaders condemned the comments, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who posted on social media saying, "There is a difference between peaceful protest and hateful intimidation. It is unconscionable to glorify the anti-Semitic violence and murder perpetrated by Hamas on October 7th. This rhetoric has no place in Canada. None." Ottawa police say they're working with the Crown to see if charges can be laid.
If there is hate crime that is said, it is not something that we tolerate, and we will fully investigate any hate crime. Sometimes, though, it is very obvious that it's a hate crime. Other times, it is difficult to hear specifically, and the words matter. Specific words do matter, and sometimes it is difficult to fully understand what they've said.
But experts say the bar is very high for prosecutors to allege that speech crosses the threshold into hate speech.
Some of these hallmarks include things like describing the members of the group as animalistic or subhuman, or as preying on children, or as inherently violent in character. I think that gives you some sense of how extreme the speech must be.
Whether or not charges are laid, members of Canada's Jewish community say anti-Semitism is on the rise, and the comments made at last weekend's protest mark an escalation in an already difficult time. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
The U.S. Senate has voted to move ahead with a massive military aid package for Ukraine. The bill approving the long-awaited assistance will likely be signed by President Joe Biden by tomorrow. It comes as the Prime Minister of Britain announced a major commitment to Ukraine's war effort during a stop in Poland today. The CBC's Abby Kuvasan has the latest.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says they can't rely on America to pay the price for security and defense. Today, he announced an additional £500 million in military aid to Kyiv. That's about 846 million Canadian dollars. It includes 1,600 strike and air defense missiles, including Storm Shadow long-range precision-guided missiles, as well as 400 vehicles, armored and all-terrain ones, as well as about 4 million rounds of small arms ammunition. Now, Ukraine got an even larger boost over the weekend. That's when the Republican-led House of Representatives passed a $60 billion aid package that had been stalled in Congress for months. And the U.S. President Joe Biden has already assured his counterpart, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, that this aid will be delivered quickly. And Ukraine is very much relying on this aid, as it is well known across Western capitals and across Ukraine that the war effort has not been going well in recent months, especially with Russia advancing on Donetsk. Now, aside from providing this further military aid and making that announcement out of Poland today, Rishi Sunak is also in Warsaw to stress the security ties with NATO allies like Poland. NATO countries very much concerned, of course, about Ukraine defending itself against Russia's invasion, but also concerned about deterrence.
So I'm proud of our record on defence and confident in our ability to deter our adversaries and ensure the security of the United Kingdom. But in a world that's the most dangerous it's been since the end of the Cold War, we cannot and must not be complacent.
The concern that Sunak outlined today is that Vladimir Putin has territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine. Abby Kuodas in CBC News, London.
5 people have died, including a child, while trying to cross from France to Britain in a boat packed with migrants. The tragedy happened just hours after the British government approved a bill that aims to deter future crossings. Once signed into law, it would allow Britain to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda. Briar Stewart reports from London.
More than 100, I'd say, migrants.
The chaotic, turbulent moments before an inflatable boat crammed with 112 migrants was launched off the coast of France.
So they're letting off firecrackers.
A BBC crew reported as smugglers waved sticks and police stayed back. The overloaded boat set off but came to a stop a few hundred meters off the coast.
The migrants who did get onto that boat are in trouble.
A group fell into the water. 5 died, including a 7-year-old girl. Dozens were rescued, but nearly 60 others continued on towards England. Since the start of the year, more than 6,000 asylum seekers have arrived on the coast.
Obviously, the death toll continues to rise in the Channel. The deterrents aren't working.
Now the UK government insists it has a plan that will, by deporting illegal immigrants who arrive in the UK to Rwanda. It struck a deal worth hundreds of millions of dollars. In return, the East African country will allow migrants to try and claim asylum there. The government vows the planes will start taking off this summer.
And there's nothing compassionate about allowing the current system to continue. That's what I believe, and that's why I'm determined to do everything I can to stop the boats.
After a late-night session, a divided parliament approved the contentious plan.
We will continue to argue that we don't think it's the right approach.
The UN Human Rights Office says the plan seriously hinders the rule of law and sets a perilous precedent.
We have heard some noises from other countries that they're watching this and that they might intend to follow it.
The government says it has already secured the flights to go to Rwanda, but some advocacy groups say they'll continue to try to fight this plan, including by putting public pressure on any airlines involved. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Thousands of delegates and observers from hundreds of countries are in Ottawa. They're working on a historic UN treaty to curb global plastic waste with the goal of ending plastic pollution by 2040. The CBC's Susan Ormiston has the latest.
Hopes for a global treaty to begin the end of plastic pollution, with protesters telling negotiators that ending it means cutting production of plastic as a giant tap spews out garbage, a symbol of the growing crisis. Talks in Ottawa this week will try to negotiate a binding treaty. The deadline is the end of this year, long overdue.
The world is counting on us to deliver a new treaty needed to deliver a future free of plastic pollution. Let's not fail them.
Plastic pollution is expected to triple in decades. Talks will focus on ridding the world of single-use plastics, redesigning for reuse. Recycling has failed to scale the mountains of plastic garbage. Only 9% ever recycled worldwide. Greenpeace wants production cuts.
We know that we are far behind where we should be. And this is thanks primarily to a small minority of blocker countries working on behalf of the fossil fuel and petrochemical industry to derail negotiations through endless debates about procedure, as well as outright refusing to engage with how we address the full life cycle impact of plastic.
As host, Canada's Environment and Climate Change Minister Stephen Guilbeault says he's navigating around red lines.
The idea is not to say we'll ban the use of plastics, but we ban those that can't be recycled or that are very harmful, and that those we continue using, we keep in the economy and out of the environment and out of the human bodies.
Negotiations here aren't the last. If they succeed, the final round goes to South Korea. The hope is by the end of this year, countries worldwide will sign on to binding regulations, a first attempt to turn back the tide of plastic waste. Susan Ormison, CBC News, Ottawa.
Concerns are being raised on PEI about recent immigration policy changes. Some business owners and workers are afraid they won't be able to keep their doors open much longer now that the province is focusing on workers in healthcare, childcare, and the trades when selecting nominees for permanent residency. As Laura Meter explains, service sector workers are wondering if they'll have to pack up and leave.
This couple worries it will be tough to keep their restaurant open in the coming months. Many people who work in the service industry no longer qualify for provincial sponsorship. Instead, PEI wants to bring in childcare, healthcare, and construction workers.
We have 2-3 people who wants to apply PNP or the Atlantic Immigration Program, and then suddenly they stopped sales and service. So they're going to leave, and I'll be out of 3 full-time employees like this.
Well, it's a little shocking to us.
Mojwinder Kaur is one employee planning to leave. She wants to get permanent residency or PR. She's going to try and find a job in healthcare or construction.
Again, I have to gain the 6 or 1 year experience in another field. So we are totally affected from this rule. Everybody is talking about the changes and everybody in the stress.
She's hoping to stay in PEI, but business groups say many others are leaving the province, as many as 1,000 workers.
Employees are scared. Employees are scared that they're no longer qualified for their PR and that they don't see a future here in Prince Edward Island, and they're leaving.
The Chamber says it wasn't consulted, and it's bad timing with PEI's approaching tourism season. The group wants the province to reverse the changes. The province says there are serious shortages elsewhere, and that will be the priority.
So they only want people in construction and healthcare, but you cannot just run a province based on construction and healthcare, right? You need employees everywhere.
These owners say it will be hard on many businesses. They had hoped to start up another restaurant and open a store too, but all of that is uncertain now. Laura Meter, CBC News, Summerside.
Canada's main stock index rose nearly 140 points today, led by strength in technology stocks. Here's a look at the markets as we head to break. Jay Scotland back with us now to wrap things up weather-wise.
Yes, and it sounds like some folks may have a bit of a soggy start to the day.
Yeah, I think here we're right on the cusp of seeing some periods of rain and showers in the morning, just on that line of no rain to rain. Certainly avoiding the heaviest rain, which will be further east into eastern mainland Nova Scotia. And as we head into Cape Breton, not quite as dry or as sunny as what folks, I think, into more southern and western parts of the province will be seeing. So you'll see for the HRM that chance of showers early tomorrow morning, that wind from the north-northeast, brisk but not overly gusty. As we edge into the afternoon, the sun breaks become a bit more frequent, but I still think it'll be more cloud than clear sky. And then as we work towards the late afternoon, more in the way of a mix of sun and cloud. And if it clears up enough, temperatures between 13 and 15 degrees away from the water will be possible. Just know that this is for the HRM. Likely going to be a bit sunnier for southwestern areas, and for folks in Cape Breton, I don't expect you to see too much sun, if at all, tomorrow. And the rain, not just showers for you, but periods of more moderate rain where you could be looking at 10 to even over 20 millimeters possible for that part of the province.
All right, Tom. We'll keep an eye for that. Thanks so much, Jay.
Thank you.
You got it.
And finally tonight, a New Brunswick photographer is embracing artificial intelligence as a way to enhance her art. Victoria West is a digital artist from Burton, and she just had an immersive exhibit in New York City. It was called Eden's Dye.
It used coding and AI to make the photos move. There was poetry to accompany each photo. West says it was moving and fulfilling to see the whole exhibit come together.
Pretty darn cool looking, too. That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.